law enforcement become more successful in interacting with their communities. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So this passion, this divine purpose come to me in April of 2019. And I've been just doing all of my research and just practicing, just planning and doing case studies, right? Just so I make sure I can provide them what it is that they need. And so, just as Chantel said, I help them to tackle traumas and to unpack them safely. I address things like PTSD, low vibrational energies, right? Guilty conscience, anger, confusion, inner turmoil. So these are the things that I go specifically in. I have a proprietary method and how I help them in innovative ways, and I use creative manifestation to help me with that. And I feel that when you go to leadership has an influence on everyone else. And with law enforcement, I decided to go to law enforcement because there is a peaceful medium. There's a tragic misunderstanding. And when we just take a step back from everything and just understand that we all really want the same things, right? And so that's just kind of how I put that mediation in there, to just understand that we really all want the same things and to just hear each other out to make it right.
Right. Fabulous. Now, Ms. Chantel, with what you do, because it sounds like there could be some sort of collaboration. I'm not trying to put together a collaboration, but it sounds like what you do.
No, I absolutely get it. Actually, when Catherine was talking, I was like, ooh, I gotta get to know her. But yes, coming from a space where even I, as a child, was super introverted, and it was hard for me to express myself because I was always wondering how would people perceive me. So what I have in turn did learn how to use traditional artistic methods to help people create, like paints and paper. If you can't talk to me without judgment, show me what it is that you may be feeling by using these mediums. And yes, see if we can have a conversational piece around that, knowing that I'm not here to judge you and you're in a safe space. So whatever it is that's on your mind, we're going to write it out, we can paint it out, we can talk it out, but know that you have help and there is healing within this pain.
Fantastic. Now, Ms. Charlisa, as a board certified life survivor coach and strategist, what out of what we just talked about with these two young ladies, how would you be able to connect with that in a way with your community and what you do?
In the same sense is that whenever how the other twos are talking about trauma and their clientele are being faced with trauma, indoor abuse, or the different frailties of life, the same as the population that I service is that we are challenged with life's insecurities, life's stressors, or the storms of life that actually arise sometimes, unannounced, without notice. And it's just like all of a suddenly, you're understanding your life or living one way. And then after the impact of this, then suddenly life changes for you. And so even with the adjustment or making those adjusting changes, sometimes that can be very difficult for someone to make life changes in life, so therefore where I come in is try to help them to strategize, come up with a plan that will be individualized for them, where they can take those minor steps, which are greater steps, to the greater end. And the greater end is back to the place of healing, because now life storms occur and then there's brokenness. So now that your life seems like it's shattered or broken into pieces, how can we mend you back together again?
That is fantastic. And what's really interesting is we go through stresses and trauma and experience PTSD sometimes without even realizing it. And then we carry it from childhood to adulthood, and then we repeat some of those things. So what are some ways in specific some specific tasks that you may be able to help people to begin to recognize those PTSD, those traumas, to begin to that process of healing? Let's start with you, Ms. Charlisa.
One way I will actually do is just to identify the changes that's taking place, the physical changes, the mental changes, the emotional changes, the spiritual changes, that surrounds them. Then they can actually document this through journaling, paying attention to the thought processes that you're having, realizing that when you feel a sense of security, and when it's that level of security, or that blanket is, yanked from underneath you, and just what actually happens with the body, emotionally, physically, and mentally. So I think that we can come in tune with our body, because our body gives off signals,
Yes,
and it's just really becoming one-on-one to know when it's giving off signals to let you know, hey, warning, before the fire actually occurs, So when it's just the smoke, the smoke detector is going off. We don't listen to the smoke detector. So that's where I come in to I stated minor steps. So that's when we listen to the smoke detectors. And then we try to listen to it, not just to have it to continue on, but address it as it comes. Sometimes going back to the inner child, like you said, that we can be go into trauma as a child, and then we don't ever deal with it, and then we come into an adult, and it still affects us, in so many ways in our relationships, and we wonder why the relationships don't, prosper or blossom into something that's fruitful. It's because we never dealt with the inner child that is still screaming out, "Here I am, I need help." So
Yes.
We have to listen to the voice internally.
Mm-hmm. And Ms. Chantel or Catherine, do you have a response for Ms. Charlisa, or a question?
Not a question, just add to just methods to be able to help one to be able to get themselves together. What I usually do is I help them to lay all of their scattered thoughts out. Right, we write it out, we discuss it. Another thing, I teach my clients breath work and how to ground themselves, how to silence everything. I also do dream interpretations. Our traumas come to us through dream states, and it's important to understand how to decode that so that you can understand the meaning. So we definitely use dream interpretation to unpack traumas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ms. Chantel?
I would agree with both techniques from the ladies. I tend to have I would say, coming from an educational background, the ABC approach: antecedents, behavior, and consequences. So antecedents, being aware what's going on within my surroundings. How am I feeling in this moment? Whether it may be the sweaty palms, or the anxiety, or the frustration, the headaches. Why am I there in that moment? Followed by, what are the behaviors that come from being in that moment? Am I short-tempered? Am I wanting to be in isolation? What has come about being in this moment? When you are aware of both things, then it can help determine the consequences that happens afterwards. So I try to get my clients to understand just being still in that moment, taking a deep breath. Try not to react in that very moment, and just look at things for what they are, and say, what is it that I can change in this moment, and what are the things that I can't change in this moment, and work from there.
It's as easy as ABC, right? Oh, that is very good. Oh my goodness, so powerful, because trauma is real, PTSD is real, and how do we overcome it? And each of you have become successful in what you do, and so I would like to ask about in what ways have you had to become more creative with what you do as a result of the pandemic? Because it definitely has caused us to look at things a different way, to do things, the term out there is new normal. what are some ways that you've had to become more or less creative with what you do as a result of the pandemic? Ms. Chantel.
With answering this question, may I have permission to be completely transparent?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for me, I found it very interesting. Here I am working in a school building as a registrar at the time. So I'm used to being around children, but having to do caseloads at home. Then I have a household of children, 13, 12, 7, and now 1. I'm like, oh Lord, keep me near the cross. And it's so funny because I felt myself going back to those ABCs. Okay, mommy is overwhelmed. How can I share with them that mommy needs to work, but I also understand you need me as well? So it came about where I had to take heed to my own approaches. Like, okay, you're in the student chair now, Chantel. You're going to have to relearn this whole strategy. You're going to have to sit kids down and make them aware. Mommy is not Superwoman. I love that you think I am. But in this space and time, I am trying to learn in this pandemic as well. So yes, try to create a schedule where I'm honoring your time, but understand that when that door is closed and I have that red sign that says, don't knock on my door, please don't knock on my door right now. I had to use a lot of visuals. I had to be very patient, very understanding. And I thought it was just so funny because I'm like, wow, I really am teaching myself the same things I teach every day. So it definitely humbled me in a lot of ways.
Wow. Yes. Thank you for being transparent. Yes, because as there are people out there who they're going to be saying, yes, honey, I know exactly what, and they're going to be asking themselves that question. How, in what ways did I have to become more creative in order to be successful on my job as a mom, as in all the roles that all the hats, pun intended, that we wear, right? Ms. Charlisa.
Oh, okay. As for me, I think it was just to be a little transparent too. Going when the pandemic actually happened, I was in the midst of enduring treatment for cancer, and so of course, the just the humanistic side of me, the fear kind of settled in, wondering, okay, how is this going to affect my treatment? Will it have such a great impact that, will it be, we kind of regress, or will there still be progression? So what I had to do was to actually utilize, my healing box, my toolbox. So the same things are techniques and tools that I've been teaching the clients to utilize. I had to utilize them for myself and to bring it out and say, okay, I had to be present in the moment and then, really identify, okay, this is this level of fear that has rised up in me. And I know that God didn't give me the spirit of fear. So how can I turn this fear into faith and stand firm upon God's word and know that he still has me and that he's still yet in control? And so therefore, if I know that God is in control and I am, his child, then hey, he has control of what's going on inside of me as well. And so that he can actually make these changes. So that's when I came to have more meditative time with God in the morning. I actually wasn't living by myself. I had a 17-year-old niece that I'm raising. And so that was a big adjustment because I said I have to get myself grounded and in control. So therefore I can still be that auntie, that adult for her. Because this is a big transitioning for her. And I can't, if I'm, in the wilderness and can't find my way out, I'm leaving her in just the same spot, nowhere. So I had to come to grips in terms of being present, spending more time with God. Not that I wasn't before, but even more so. And then actually just redefining just who I am. Who I am, because it's like, I knew myself one way before the pandemic, but once the pandemic happened, I learned a whole lot more about Charlisa. And ways that were positive as well as negative, and even in the negative sense, it's not so much negative, it's just that what my flaws were, what my weaknesses were, and then that's what was having me in a position that I had to address them.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Having to take a look at who we are before the pandemic and then see who we really are.
Right.
How many of you had a vision of yourself that was a lot different when the pandemic came around and it was like, wait, whoa.
Yes.
Who is that girl? Who is that woman? Right?
Right.
Miss Catherine, go ahead.
So I looked at when COVID-19 and quarantine came, I looked at that as a catalyst for my growth, and I took every second and I utilized it because I really felt like the world came to a standstill, and I felt like that's exactly what I needed. I was like, this is perfect. So how I decided, I lean more into my spiritual beliefs, number one, and then I incorporated that into work, and I decided to pull out all my creativity in every area, and not to play safe with it, but to utilize that. And that's what helped me to just move more into innovative thoughts and creativity, which is how so I'm very grateful. I know a lot has happened during this time, positive and negative, but I'm very grateful for this time because it has been an awakening. It has been an eye-opener. So many opportunities such as this for us to meet here virtually. Like this is the new normal, and there is actually a lot of positive things that has come from the pandemic. So
Yes. I'll share that my day job, I work in construction inspection. Therefore, initially everything was shut down. Then our projects that had affordable housing, those projects opened back up. But for me, kind of like what Miss Catherine was saying, I was like, wait, I get to stay home because I've got some projects. I have some writing that I need to finish. So for me, it was like, you don't need me to come? Cool. Oh, there were times I had to force myself to come up for air, so to speak, and be social in the house that I was in, because I was like, boom, I'm knocking stuff out. I'm not taking no prisoners. I'm using this time. So being able to be more creative, and change the way we think, change the way we do things. So now, I would like to ask, what projects are you working on that you would consider successful, both on a monetary scale, and what does that look like? And with regard to the message you're releasing, how will you know they got it? Because we're talking about success, right? This is Success Fest. The entire film industry, the television industry, I put that question because I work in that field. They've had to pivot. So what projects are you working on that you would consider successful, both on a monetary scale, and what does that look like? And with regard to the message that you want to get out there, how will you know they got it? And with regard to the monetary, you don't have to tell us all the zeros behind the comma and where the period is. But just share with us what would that look like for you with this new, we're doing things new. So that means how, being successful and what that looks like, both on a monetary scale and whether or not they got the message, because all of this is about getting a message out, getting your message out there, helping someone through your entrepreneurial or through your, through the gifts that you've been given. and through the roles that you portray, that you play, through the hats that you wear again. How does that look? What does that look like? What are those projects? What does it look like for success monetary? And what does it look like knowing that they got it? Who'd like to go first?
I like to go first.
Okay.
So, how I've, projects that I have in motion is called the Elite Legacy Project, and that is it's so it's the Elite Network, and it's broken down into four categories. It's broken down into where anyone can be a part of it. It's broken down into where there's leaders. So it's elite leaders, where coaches, healers, business owners, and then we have elite enforcement, and that's strictly for law enforcement. So that category is strictly for them. And then we have elite sponsorships, and so this is for brands that believe we have the same belief system. So when and so how I gauge the success from this is I was just nominated as most influential businesswoman. I have projects working with people in Africa and just different just different countries. Like, it's so amazing. I'm like, whoa. So I'm connecting with so many people around the world and just gaining notoriety for it. But how I gauge if they actually is healing, because that's important, right? So immediately when it click and they have this sense of purpose, right? All of the traumas they put to the side, it's like, you know what, I get it, I understand that. And when they start to express that to me, also when I notice that their vibrations are raising, right? It's certain ways that you can tell that your vibration is raising, has risen, and also just becoming more comfortable with self, right? Being able to identify traumas and things that you will usually ask someone, hey, so what do you think about this? And being able to be in a quiet space within yourself and figure out the answers, to yourself. I feel like just things like that let you know that a person is actually healing and is in alignment with the healing program that you put in place. So that's my answer.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Who'd like to go next?
Mine have been through literary arts. So I've had the privilege of co-authoring in 2 books. One is called The Single Save Struggle, where it talks about merging relationships on a more faithful level, getting closer to God. And that's an audiobook. The second one is called Finding Joy in the Journey, which is a grievance helpline book, where it's a 90-day devotional with me and 89 other authors. We just made Amazon bestseller last week. And that was beautiful for me because it's allowing me to still share my layers as well. So building that sister circle. And also for me, I'm just finishing my own solo project as far as writing. It's currently in publishing. It's called A Sinner's Prayer, Poetic Confessions and Short Stories, where it's pretty much talking about my journey into discipleship and the things I had to go through leading up to this point of saying, hey, I'm ready to be a vessel. This is how I'm being used. And being at this space and time where I'm able to not only write, but share it with others, where I know that I'm on the right path. When I get letters or emails about how my stories are relatable, I'm like, okay, God, thank you for showing me this is where I need to be.
Cool. Well, I want to ask you more about the single save struggle.
Definitely.
Oh, who is that book? And even though the title, Single Save Struggle, who is that book for?
It is for the people in the world that is trying to find that Ruth or Boaz, but right now you're into your authentic self. You're saying, hey, these are my flaws. This is what I come with. I'm walking in it. I'm owning it. And I need you to understand that this is me. Love me for who I am.
Awesome. Awesome. When I read that in your bio, I was like, I'm asking about this. Do you have any singles groups reaching out to you regarding that book?
Oh, yes. So I currently engage in it's called Self-Care Sundays at 8 o'clock virtually amongst a bunch of women authors and women in podcasts. So on Sundays, we get together at 8 o'clock virtually where we're giving self-care tips. We're encouraging one another. We're sharing like-minded stories. And we come together with our cocktails, sometimes our food, and we're just having it up.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. And see so we want to dig deeper behind what each of you do. I'm going to come back to you, Miss Catherine, because I read that you had won that award. So I'm going to come back to you. Miss Charlisa.
Okay. As for me, I'm actually looking at, I'm very grateful for this time period with things kind of like changed and made some adjustments since the pandemic. It allowed, with the Zoom and meeting online with this, that it has connected me with more individuals, organizations that are within the field of the cancer arena or world, if you will. I've been meeting a whole lot of people that I never would have met or networked with or collab with or partner with, if it was just, prior to the pandemic, not in that such a vast time period, it's just been like, they are excelling just really well. So I'm grateful for the partnerships that are developing, and we're working together to meet the holistic needs of the patient, of the client. I'm one that more concentrating on the mental and the emotional piece of it. So that's where I, come in with working on my project now with the journaling. So I'm looking forward towards the fall time period or beginning of winter for my journal to come out. That way where people will actually be able to write down their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I think that healing does come through writing. I have found healing through the process of writing and journaling, and it's been very beneficial for me. It's been very key for me, even in the process of going through chemotherapy, radiation. And I think that it can be an effective tool for someone else who desires to write and have that inhibition within them and that desire to jot down their thoughts as well. So that's the success in it. I'm also an author. So the success in the book, I just released a Amazon bestseller, Women Crushing Mediocrity. And so it's showing how going against the odds, even fighting cancer in this pandemic and still succeed and win. So I'm grateful for that opportunity and that project as well.
Awesome. And I would also like to ask you about the here it is, your podcast, Hey Girl, It's Me. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. We're already started with the recording of the first couple of sessions. So we're looking at to have that to be released coming up for this fall time period as well. And Hey Girl, It's Me is just a matter of conversations that women who get together, girlfriends who get together, and you just talk about different issues that we may face on a daily, day-to-day basis. And so especially among women, African-American women, something that we can be as a positive role model for other women coming up, because we see how the Generation X, Generation Y, whatever you want to call it, nowadays, and see how things are just changing, in their thought processes, that I think that we just need to be more verbal and allow them to know that there are different means, and success is not based on materialistic things that you can have one day and gone the next, or you can purchase a car and it loses its value, in a matter of moments. But success is actually, feeling good about the skin that you're in and, being grateful for the life that you have and the breath of life that you have, and then living the abundance of life that God promises us. That's success. So it's more redefining what success is. And that's what Hey Girl Hey is all about.
That is fabulous. That is fabulous. So how do you choose your guests for your podcast?
So far, it's with the connections that I've had, like girlfriends that I've done thus far with the recording. And we've been girlfriends for a long time. And so we just connect so greatly, and we just kind of share our life experiences thus far. So I'm looking for anyone who's out there that's, showing their success in their individual areas, and that who have a heart and a will, and just have that positive vibe to always give back.
Awesome. Hey girl, it's me, right?
It's me, yes. In all of my frails and flaws, it's still me.
Yes. One thing I heard someone say one time, you have a friend or your girlfriend, or you have a friend when they know all your secrets, that they could blackmail you, but they choose not to.
Yes.
Hey girl, it's me, right?
Hey girl, it's me. Hands up, not down, but up.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Miss Catherine, tell us more about winning this award. Come on now.
So I've shaken things up a bit, and I'm like, okay, so I'm bringing God into the mix and everything that I do in my business, and then now I'm with law enforcement, I'm with civilians, so I kind of shaking things up a bit, and my whole approach was I want to grow through word of mouth. And the owner of Hayden's magazine in Albania, Denisha, she reached out to me and she was like, "Oh my goodness, you were doing so many amazing things. We want to do a story on you." And so, we did the story, and she come back and she was like, "This is just phenomenal. Like, okay, so we're gonna grant you, we're gonna nominate you for the award cup, and it's the 2021 Global Successful Woman Award Cup." And I was like, "Oh my goodness," because I work with my head down a lot, right? So I don't really pay attention. I don't have a television. I don't have any social media apps. It's just like a lot of things, so I really be like honed in. And so it was really like shocking when she reached out to me. And then I had all these other magazines reach out to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. So my hard work is starting to, it's starting to show itself. So I'm so grateful. Hayden's magazine is just, they are phenomenal. They do a lot of big stories on just different people around the country, Arabic and Egypt. It's just like so many different things. So I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful to win the award cup.
That is fabulous. Again, congratulations. We give you your flowers now, give you your roses now. Congratulations, Queen. That is fantastic. It is an honor for us all to be together and to say congratulations to you, because the work that you do, especially with regard to, as we said earlier, what's happening with law enforcement, there needs to be a bridge.
Yes.
There needs to be a bridge. Would you ladies agree?
Yeah.
There needs to be a bridge, and it right now is you. You're one of them, right?
They're like, yeah, so you're the only one that's doing this. Nobody wants to deal with what you're doing with. and I'm like, yes, give me all of it. So it's
I think that is so phenomenal, because my background is, with criminal justice and actually behavioral therapists for those who have mental health issues. But just knowing, after, over 30 years, working in the field and law enforcement, they go through a lot, and I think that is so critical and so needed this time period. So I definitely, commend you, for taking the strategy and actually, putting the focus upon them so that they know that they're not out there by themselves or have to deal with the issues that they may be faced with because of their job alone, that they're not alone. That's awesome.
Yeah. That somebody sees, somebody understands, somebody wants to help, somebody wants to be that bridge, somebody wants to somebody wants to be that bridge, somebody wants to close the gap. That's what, because there is a gap, right? Like, there is a gap, and somebody needs to do it. I remember when President Obama sat down with the two gentlemen, I believe the white police officer, and when the two, and to have a beer, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember I actually just put a YouTube video out there when I said that Ellen and President Obama and Oprah, they needed to have a dance off with the police and their communities. Why? Because dancing gets everybody laughing, right? Because everybody can't dance, right? Right. It definitely brings down barriers if you're willing to get up there and knowing you can't dance, or even if you can dance, right? To get up there and I'm like, what? Come on, you can have a dance off between just throughout the neighborhoods, throughout the country, and have these police officers and the departments and their communities that they serve have a dance off, and then send in their videos, post them online to see, that people coming together in the community. So now that I've said it here on Success Fest, who knows, right?
It's still possible. It's still possible.
Right? Because we still need ways for the community to come together, right?
Yes.
It's so funny because sometimes, a lot of people are afraid of being, stopped by the police. It can be a scary thing for some. And it's so funny because I will actually stop the police. Yesterday, I do it all the time. And I would just ride on the them, and I'd be like, just follow me really quickly. Let me see. and they do. And one of an officer got behind me like 2 weeks ago, and then he got on the side of me, and he was like, Catherine, and I was like, hi, and he was like, thank you, and I was like, oh, that is so sweet. So people are noticing.
Yes, you're making a difference. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Ladies, service is such a beautiful thing. Like, I'm listening to everyone, and I'm even remembering, accomplishments and service that I too have done within my 13 years of working with District of Columbia Public Schools leading up to this point. It's something about when you're giving yourself to others, that reward, like you said, success is measured so much more than money. It's how you connect with the next person. How are you helping them get through? And that's the most rewarding part, being able to give of yourself in a manner that's going to help someone else grow is a beautiful thing. And I truly applaud all of you all.
Yes.
And we applaud you.
We applaud you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So I have this question. What success quote motivates you the most, and why would you recommend it to someone else? What success quote motivates you the most, and why would you recommend it to someone else?
So I'm not sure if this is a successful quote, but I have one. It's I am the sky, everything else is just the weather. And I
Mm.
because with everything that's going on, when you realize that you are the sky is not going anywhere. It's up there. And it's a lot of things that's happening around the sky. And when you kind of look at that quote with everything that's going on and you understand, I feel like that quote in itself is grounding, or at least it takes your focus to look at, okay, so this is the sky and everything happens around the sky. There's birds, there's the weather, there's airplanes, there's so many things that's up there. And so that's like one of my favorite quotes.
That is fire. Let's see. Is there a fire in our reactions? Is there a fire? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Because as you were talking, this is what came to mind. The weather changes. The sky doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. My God. My God. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Yes. Yes.
Girl, you said, woo, you dropped a bomb.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm taking that. I'll write that down. I was writing that down.
That was good. That was great. That was great. That was great.
All right. Who'd like to go next? Miss Charlize, Miss Charlisa, or Miss Chantel?
Okay. As for me, I looked at the quote that I hold dear to my heart, is that your healing can serve as the catalyst. No, I'm sorry. Your transparency can serve as a catalyst to someone's healing. And so with that is that, be transparent, be open, be authentic, just be you, and actually share, your inner strengths, your weaknesses, your gains, your losses. And don't look at losses just as, losses, but they're lessons. And so you just have to redefine what life is to you. Because life is good, life is great. So I think that in what I've learned is that through my transparency, that every time that I share my story, with the next person, then something that they may hear from me can actually set a fuel of fire within them that they want to go, not to achieve what I have achieved, but to experience it for themselves. So that's the difference. I don't want to go and get the same thing that you have, but I want to experience, if it's healing, I want to experience the healing that God has for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the encouraging part that I would, share with someone else, is to be transparent, because your transparency will be a catalyst to someone's healing.
That is so good. Your transparency can serve as someone else's healing. Because on the outside looking in, often we look like we got it all together. We got it going on. I was born like this, all this flyness, right?
Right.
All this suave, all this success. I was born like this, right?
Right.
Until you break it down and your transparency, like, girl, I didn't wake up like this, right? Dude, I didn't, or for the fellas, dude, I wasn't always this fly, right? I had to go through some things.
Yes. And even with that is that sometimes people can look at you, they can look at me and like, okay, I don't look like someone who has been battling with cancer, someone who's been fighting it, so just by me sharing a story and they hearing, just yesterday, it was the appraisal that came to my home, and he and I were just chit-chatting and talking, and then I just shared with him, and then he was like, oh, his mouth just dropped, and I'm like, okay, you can pick it up now. It's like, I know I don't look like what I've been through, but yes. So
That part.
that part. Because that next person who's watching and observing and listening, they can say, hey, if it happened for her, it can happen for me.
Yes, yes. And taking it to church. That's why we give the testimonies.
Yes,
Right?
yes, that's
If
right.
God did it for me, he will do it for you. He's not a respecter of persons. So and not just testimonies in church, just in business, people sharing their story of what they, I think on Facebook, they have Gold Cast or something like that, where people, they tell the stories, the behind the scenes stories of what people went through before they became successful. How, people sleeping in their cars. Tyler Perry is one that comes to mind. His story of writing these plays, and since we're going to be in a global marketplace. Tyler Perry is famous for the Medea plays. He portrays this older woman, feisty, peace carrying, gun carrying, and she, with that, he wrote plays, produced plays that nobody showed up for. He lived in his car. He had, there was a time, he talks about his childhood. Right. Now the man owns what used to be a military base and has 12 or 13 studios on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about Success Fest. And God will, if it will happen for Tyler Perry, whatever your dream is, whatever your desire for success is, person out there, it can happen. Miss Chantel, you have a quote yet?
Yes, it's more like a mantra, which definitely touched base to what you just said. Something I learned earlier on. All that I am and hope to be will happen because of me. I'm going to say it again. All that I am and hope to be will happen because of me. So when I internalize that, to me is saying all that I have came from, the good, bad, and the indifferent, was tools to the person that I am now today. And those things combined together would get me to my future. I take nothing from it. I regret nothing in the process. I own all of it because it's the tools that's going to get me to my destiny.
Woo!
That's good.
Woo!
Absolutely.
You ladies are dropping fire with these quotes. All that I am and hope to be will happen because of me, because of who I've been through, because of what I've been through, because of who I've become. I take all of that, all of those tools, all of that, and push it out into who I am now, those lessons that I've learned. And with that, we can, say that one more time. Come on, share it one more time.
All that I am and hope to be will happen because of me. Understanding that all the things that I have been through, the good, bad, and the indifferent, were only tools to help me to become who I am today, and working both together will bring me to my destiny.
Yes, that's all I can do. Oh, good, man. Those are so good. I'm like writing these down. Yeah, I'm gonna use that one too. I'm using all of them. Oh my goodness. And so the second part of that question was actually, how does it help you and how do you think it will help them? You've answered that in talking about the particular quote. And so this next question I want to ask is, what is the lesson that has stuck with you the most from what you may have considered a big mistake? I'll read it to you one more time. What is the lesson that has stuck with you the most from what you may have considered was a big mistake? Ask it one more time. because I need that one. I know you need some, a couple, some time to kind of think about it. What is the lesson that has stuck with you the most from what you may have considered a big mistake?
Okay, I'll go. What I've considered a mistake or just awkward is just like how I bring so much love into my business and how I interact with my clients. Not everyone interact with their clients the same way, and so I've, along my journey, I've been told you're not supposed to talk with clients like that. You're not supposed to, and so just going back and forth with myself throughout this journey, because it's all about growth, right? It's all about learning and understanding and throwing away what needs to be thrown away and picking up on what needs to be picked up on. And I realized that this is the way that I communicate. This is my language. This is how I teach. This is how I interact. And I've become comfortable with that. I've also become comfortable with understanding that this entire time I wasn't showing myself self-love. I wasn't really loving myself truly. And I've been able to gauge that certain ways, but that's what my mistake was. Listening, to others, comparing myself to others, and understanding that we all have our unique purpose and we all have our unique gifts in the way that we reach people. So I've been able to align myself, and now I just do things my way.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next.
I feel you, Catherine, on so many levels because, as you could tell, my introvert spirit, like, my issue was showing that I am human, allowing my flaws to show through, like, always feeling like I had to have it together. And every time I tried to put on this front, I had it together, that's when my flaws would peek out the most. And I'm like, oh my God, do they see me? I don't want nobody to see me. And I had to get to a point where I'm like, so what? You got flaws too. Okay. And that had awakened something in me because it allowed me to see that you are still worthy, even with showing that. You still have things to offer, regardless of what that flaw may be. So I get it.
Yes. Miss Charlisa.
As for me, I think it's been mostly allowing my frailties to hinder me from forging forward. A lot of times I've noticed in my past that I've allowed the inadequacies or the insecurities to rise so high within me that it allowed me to become stagnant. And that I wasn't no longer unstoppable. It just felt like it just stopped me straight in my tracks. And then I will remain there just feeling overwhelmed and sorry for myself, and that I wouldn't make any progress or moving forward. So I've learned to work through that and develop more strategies or better strategies to combat it, where when I do identify those frailties and not allow them to hinder me, but looking at it from a different perspective and allowing it to stretch me. So it's not that it's consuming me, but it's stretching me to become better. It's stretching me to become wiser. It's stretching me, to become more productive. It's stretching me to a place of where I can experience that healing. So it's stretching me to my healing place.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So we're going to, we're coming down to the end, and this panel is not made for television. However, being a producer, my thoughts, even film and stage, my thoughts are already like, man, these stories could be a TV show, they could be a movie, they could be a play. Each of your stories. So yes, it is, maybe not.
Truly.
Right. So not made for television, true stories of what it takes to be really successful. And each of you are truly successful in what you're doing in your area of expertise. I would like for you to give what would be a final thought on or advice that you would give someone regarding what it takes to be successful.
I would like to share it's important to take leaps of faith and take them often, right? When you feel that urge to do so. Just a really quick story. In 2018 August, I put in my resignation at FCA Chrysler, and they was looking at me like I was crazy, right? But I knew what message I received, and I knew that I was supposed to move forward in that area. I did this. I had 401k. I had 40,000 in my 401k, and after taxes I had like 27,000, right? And I went in and I did what I felt was best with that. I ran out of money during this time, right? I was homeless for 8 months, but I stayed the course. When you believe in yourself, when you believe in higher forces, when you believe in God and you believe in purpose, just know that the goal, the dream that you have in your heart is in there for a reason. When thoughts keep circulating in your mind and you feel the urge that you have to complete something, it's there for a reason, and it's up to you to be able to bring that into fruition. And when you have that within you, there is no competition in your area because it's meant for you. So I would say, take the leap of faith, believe in yourself, master self love. Make sure that your inner child, is feeling cared for, just like the adult self. And I feel like, the quote, "I am everything I thought I couldn't be previously." I feel like activate that to the fullest potential, and just know that God is definitely gonna help you get there. That's my final thought.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would say, do not let fear overcome you. During this last couple of months, I have transitioned myself from a position that I have known for 13 years of my life. I'm 36, will be 37 in October. To take a leap of faith to pursue full entrepreneurship with 4 children as a single mom. A part of me, when I first started out, when I looked at all the bills and this new mortgage, I'm like, Lord, how am I going to make this happen? Do I have all the tools? And that's when it came to me, you do have the tools. What's slowing you down right now, you think you do not have the tools. And in that fear, because I had to learn also with fear too, fear doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's how you utilize it. When fear becomes a debilitating state, then it causes you to be stagnant. It causes the anxiety. It causes the worry. But when you use it to charge up those emotions, like, yes, I feel this way, but I know it's a greater light at the end of the tunnel, you can shoot past the stars. So never let your fear overcome you. Use it as a tool to get to where you need to be.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, for me, I would say that it focuses on each day as a new day. And I would say it's a new day. That's a slogan, that's a phrase that I actually say to myself each and every day, no matter what the day may be, no matter how the day may appear. But I know that, this day, it's a new day. But yesterday is finally over and tomorrow has yet to begin. So embrace the newness of this day. So what you have is this day, this time, the right here and the right now. And that's what to embrace it, to celebrate it, and to be overjoyed because you still can breathe. And so I would say that no matter how your challenges of your day may come, what may arise in the midst of your day, know that today is a new day. It's a new day. I mean, don't worry about what you didn't get accomplished from yesterday. Don't worry about what didn't work. You have a new day to start all over again. You know, you have a new day to love again. You have a new day to heal again. You have a new day to be you all over again, to be the new you again. So embrace today, embrace the moment, celebrate the moment, be grateful for the moment, be present in the moment. That's when you enjoy life to the fullest and the abundance of life. And that's what I live by. With receiving a diagnosis at the age of 35 and saying cancer and stage 4, and that was in 2007, and here we are 2021, and I'm still yet here because of the new day. Each day I kept telling myself, it's a new day. So I'm going to embrace this day. I'm going to celebrate this day. The last 4 years I've been fighting because the cancer reoccurred in 2016. So from December to 2016 until February of 2021 this year, you know, I received the NED, no evidence of the disease. So I'm grateful. But for those last few years, from 2016 up to 21, I kept saying, today, it's a new day. Today, Lord, I'm going to receive that NED. I kept believing it. In regards to what the scans may say, in regards to what the doctors may have stated, in regards to what my body was experiencing, I still believe that today is the new day that I shall receive it. I believe, and therefore I received it. So that's what you have to go for. Whatever you have set out, you know, to accomplish in life, believe it. Today is a new day. Tomorrow or yesterday is finally over. Tomorrow is yet to begin. So embrace the newness of this day.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh my goodness. This panel has been absolutely fire with goodness. It has been sweet with just the love that you ladies have just shared. You've shared from your inner being with everyone. So those of you who are witnessing this panel, I want you to be sure and look up these women, follow what they do. They've mentioned their books, get them. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to be transparent, right? To share a part of yourself, to let us know that what we see on television isn't always the case, right? That these are true stories of what it takes to be really successful. Catherine Workman, Chantel Fuller, Miss Charlisa, Harriet, thank you so much for being here today and participating in this panel. This has been phenomenal, and thank you all for being here with this not made for television, true stories of what it means to be successful.
Or drawing up social group that a family member referred you to. My name is Artisha T. Bolding, and I motivate women and entrepreneurs to birth their business, book, or brand. I ensure that you are no longer stuck in life, but thriving in success that's aligned with you.